We are going to do it right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a break and then get into it. This is Flex Tattle, and this one's called Ega Ega. Before this, XQ and Toki Vibes.
This is for the lot of you that love to say things in twos, like cousin, sister. Hey, is it a cousin? Or is it a sister? And how many people are two twins? I beg your pardon. Did somebody say irregardless? My people, for the why. This is not the life English was promised. Pick one, say it loud and proud, and leave the twos for socks, eyebrows, and Steers Wacky Wednesday. That's right. Buy one delicious, mouth-watering 100% Steers classic burger and get another one free. Mahala, no force. Get your hashtag Wacky Wednesday at Steers today. Flame grilled. It just tastes better.
Choose the easy way to pay online and stand a chance to win endless entertainment with Bank ABC. Just pay with the Bank ABC prepaid Visa card online between 6 April and 4 May 2021, and you'll be entered to win Netflix or DSTV subscriptions. That's a whole month of DSTV or 3 months of Netflix to binge watch on us. T's and C's apply. For more information, visit bankabc.co.zw. Bank ABC. Fresh thinking. Smart banking.
Check this out. Check this out, dude.
24-hour music station.
Welcome to this program that is proudly brought to you by Family Support Trust. And each week what we try to do is we want to speak on things on effects. We want to talk about how sexual abuse affects children and how we, the parents and adults and guardians, brothers and sisters, what we can do to make sure that we keep the children safe and we continue to protect the children. So from Family Support Trust this afternoon on the phone, we are going to be talking about the effects of child abuse on child development. And we have Betty from Family Support Trust to speak to us this afternoon. Good afternoon, Betty, and welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, Chambari. Thank you for having me.
All right, Betty, you know, we did talk about what Family Support Trust does. Every week we try to make sure that we talk about it. But I'm just going to ask you to just real quickly, straight to the point, tell the listeners what Family Support Trust is and what it does.
All right. Family Support Trust is a non-governmental organization that deals with family support trust by offering medical services, psychosocial support, and doing outreach work in communities to prevent and respond to the problem of child sexual abuse.
All right. So what is child sexual abuse?
Now, child sexual abuse is it relates to broad activities or broad behaviors. But basically, we're talking about any type of sexual activity that an adult engages in with a child who is under the legal age of consent. But we are talking about several behaviors that are sexual in nature, which include conduct behaviors or non-conduct behaviors. And when I'm talking about conduct behaviors in child sexual abuse, I'm talking about those behaviors that have conduct with the abuse or with the child who is being sexually abused. For instance, folding of breasts, inappropriate touching and penetration. And these behaviors are very dangerous in that they usually cause transmission of HIV and AIDS. And when you're talking about non-conduct behaviors in child sexual abuse, we are talking about those behaviors that do not involve conduct between the perpetrator and the child who is being sexually abused. And these can include behaviors such as showing a child their genitals or a genitals, showing a child images of sexual in nature, or showing children videos that are sexual in nature. And the other, the disadvantage or the effect of such behaviors as well is they're psychologically damaging to the child. They also cultivate a child into having sexualized behaviors and believing that they are now ready to begin sexual activities. So non-conduct and conduct sexual behaviors are all dangerous to children and their development once they're growing up, as they would affect their development in many retrospects.
Wow. All right. I think that a lot of times we assume child sexual abuse has to involve the contact, but everything that you said right now, it opens us our minds to know that it's much broader than just that.
Yes.
So, what are we talking about when we say child development? What is child development?
All right. Thank you, Shamvari. Child development is a very broad term, but I'm going to explain it in simple language so that the general population can understand what you want to talk about today. So, child development relates to the process by which a child changes over time. And it also has several aspects in it that encompass child development.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, we want to understand child development from a physical point of view, from an intellectual point of view. So we'll be talking about physical development, intellectual development, language, social development, emotional development. These go hand in hand, or they work together to form the child development up to a child where they reach the age of 18. So you find that for us to develop, they should be good physical development, good intellectual development, good social development, and good emotional development. And many times when children are being sexually abused or when they're sexual abuse may affect all these aspects or one of these aspects, hence we fail to have good well-being or child development of the child.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
So, thank you so much for that explanation. So, what are the effects of child sexual abuse on child development?
All right. Child abuse or child sexual abuse, it affects child development of a child, as I mentioned earlier, that for the aspect of child development in which a child is developing physically. For instance, let's talk about physical development of a child. Child sexual abuse will cause, for example, injuries to a child who has been sexually abused. Probably the abuser was using force, they were beating the child, they were exposing them to injury. These injuries can also be detrimental to their health and their bodies, and they can also leave scars that are visible. And when we see these scars, or even if the survivor sees such scars on their bodies, they can also be psychologically damaging to the child. Imagine growing up with scars and these scars were a result of child sexual abuse. It's also damaging for the child, and it also affects their physical development. We also have internal injuries that can occur also as a result of child sexual abuse, whereby you find the mana and in many times children who do not get assistance or they fail to recognize these internal injuries, but they will be there, and they will also affect physical development of a child, where a child will regress on their physical development. We also have unintended and unplanned pregnancies as a result of child sexual abuse. So with unintended pregnancies, Chambari, you find that many children, especially girls, adolescent girls who are sexually abused, will fall pregnant as a result of child sexual abuse, right? So, with their bodies not having matured enough, let's imagine a situation whereby a child is 10-year-old or 11 years old and they fall pregnant. The process of giving birth naturally will be difficult for them, hence it will affect their physical development. It can also cause pregnancy complications, whereby they have to go through the fever, they have to go through other difficult scenarios because of the difficulties of that pregnancy. So it can also be an effect of child sexual abuse on their physical development. Child sexual abuse can also cause recurring illnesses in children, hence affecting their physical development. For instance, a child maybe has been sexually abused and probably there were no services or adequate services rendered to that child. That child can have recurring illnesses throughout their childhood or throughout their life. So it's also an effect on their physical development. Now I want to talk about social development. Since we discussed earlier, it's also an aspect of child development earlier on. So we all want, as human beings, we have a need of belonging, and we belong to different social groups. We belong to families, we belong to schools, workplaces, and so forth. The same with our children. They also have a sense or a need of belonging to different social groups. So you find that with children who have been sexually abused, they may find it difficult to fit in different social groups because of the sexual abuse. They may feel they are not worthy to be in those groups. They may feel unwanted. They may feel unacceptable to be inside social groups, and they may end up withdrawing from social groups. So social withdrawal social isolation can also be a result of child sexual abuse on the social development of that child. Kupepa munoona mwana anozvitsaura kubva kune vakawanda kana kuti anozvitsaura kubva kune vamwe. Mumwe mwana anogona kutoti vanhu vakagara mumba in a family setup, they won't even sit with other family members because they spend most of their time or a considerable amount of time akazvivharira pake ega. They are trying to withdraw from social groups. They may also end up avoiding situations or social groups that remind them of the violence of the child sexual abuse. As a result, at the same time, it also causes low self-esteem in children, hence affecting their social development. At the same time, poor self-image, poor body image, poor performance at school, and other things. One also of the things that can be affected on social development by child sexual abuse is aggression. You would find that children who have been sexually abused may end up being aggressive. They use aggression to communicate or sometimes to relate how they are feeling because of the child sexual abuse or of the sexual violence. So many times children who have been sexually abused, they can't even form relationships or normal relationships with other children or with other adults, and they become difficult members of the society. And statistics also show that children who have been sexually abused, if not helped, they can grow up to be future abusers. So you find that aggression can also be an effect on the social development of a child that will be caused or that can be caused by child sexual abuse.
Wow.
And now, yes. So we also want to talk about emotional development, the emotional part of development of a child, whereby we want to see how a child feels. So this relates with awareness of self of the child, how the child feels about themselves, their perceptions about the world, about adults. Many times when children are sexually abused, they are mainly abused by adults because of the power we have over them. So you find that if a child has been sexually abused by an adult, how they are going to view adults in general will be affected, and their emotional well-being will be affected in as much. So sometimes children who have been sexually abused, their emotional development is affected in that they lose or they lack self-esteem, whether their regard of self is very low. They won't believe in themselves. They don't believe they can do anything worth in life. They can also have negative perceptions about themselves, whereby they have this negative belief about what they are supposed to do, their expectations. They can also be withdrawn and have anxieties, depression, suicidal thoughts, and self-destructive behaviors as a result, because they are they are emotionally burdened by the sexual abuse that could have happened to them. And this also needs parents and adults to be aware of that children do not only develop physically, but they have also this other aspect of development. Lastly, I'm going to talk about intellectual development as part of the development of a child, whether we want to talk about the mental processing of a child who has been sexually abused. So, child sexual abuse has got a wide range of psychological factors that affect the mind, that affect how a person is going to cope with life after abuse. And with children who have been sexually abused, they usually lack concentration. There's poor concentration, hence affecting their intellectual and their mental development. Whereby a child, for instance, you can send a child to go inside the room and pick probably a cup, and they come back with a bag or a phone. Just a small distance, they come back with something that you do not have instruct them to come with. Poor concentration, even at school, it also affects their grades, how they perform at school, and other issues. Anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorders, suicidal thoughts as well, less trusting of others. They become human beings who do not trust other members of the society. Whilst we are trying to portray the world as a better place, they start now to lose trust over adults or over human, over elder people, protecting them and giving them care. So you find that with this background or with this information, we can all see that child development does not only include or does not only tackle issues of physical development, whereby a child is going from being an infant, toddler, adolescent, and so forth. It has all these other aspects that many times we fail to look on. So child sexual abuse has got a negative effects which are highlighted and described and discussed on the child development of the child, particularly physical development, social development, emotional and intellectual development, which affects their childhood, and in turn they fail to be contributing members of the society. They fail to live normal lives.
Okay. Betty, we're running out of time. I need to know from you, what can adults and children do to prevent child sexual abuse and ensure positive child development?
All right. Parents and children can do a lot of things, such as adults can teach children about child sexual abuse, how to protect themselves. They can also report early on cases of child sexual abuse so that the children get attended to. They receive their medical services to prevent diseases and other issues that we're talking about. And when we're saying reporting early, we mean within 72 hours or as soon as the abuse has occurred. They can also ensure positive parenting in their parenting skills so that they are close to their children. Children can also avoid risky situations that increase their likelihood of being abused by perpetrators. They can also report early as children. So we also need to teach our children to report early and avoid risky situations.
All right, thank you so much, Betty, for that information. I feel this was very detailed, but there may be some people who want to get more information from you, or they would like to make a report or seek assistance. How can they reach you and your organization?
All right, I think who want to reach us can call us on our toll-free number, 08080501.
Can you please repeat that toll-free number? Oh, wow, we lost Betty. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to make way for the news that's coming through at 2 o'clock. And then straight after the news, I will call Betty back so that she can give us those contact details, because it's very important that if you know of any child that is getting abused, or you want more information in your local language, which will help you understand, you can contact Family Support Trust. This is Lunchtime Radio. We're going to make way for the news, and then we will call Betty up straight after the news so that we can continue with our conversation, and then she can give us more information. And also remember, Center Stage comes up. Lunchtime Radio.